Thanks for sharing, Yasha. Yeah, it's been a wild journey. You've come a long way. So if we just go back a little bit, so before you joined the program, can you tell me exactly where were you at? And what were some of the problems that you were aware of, and how were these problems affecting your life negatively?
Yeah, I there were a few things. I think it was the primary triggers for me to start the program. One was that I had a bit of hard time with setting some boundaries in my own relationships, with mostly with other people, but also impacting my personal relationships. And I think part of it was because I was trying to keep the peace, but obviously that wasn't really working for me. And I realized that I just need to talk to somebody about this stuff. And especially when you are, even if I'm like experienced with a lot of things and helping people, but when myself I am in it and I'm in that cloud, it's very hard to navigate by myself. And because the things that are at stake are very important to me, my relationship, my path, and my ability to stay true to myself so I can actually do what I want to do in the world very important. So I decided to take the time and invest the time into this program. And my that was one of the main ones. But also, I think finding like my voice, having the ability to say what I want to say without necessarily holding back, but also compassionate way. I think that was another way that I need some tuning up in that department, and that was very useful to me. And then we talked about a lot of different things. It was a rewarding experience for me because I haven't done like a one-on-one type of coaching or mentorship, to say, in a very very long time. And for me, it was valuable to see that the result that I can get when I stay focused on something, work with someone. And before this, I was pretty skeptical of this stuff, mostly because I was like, I could do it myself. I don't need nobody. I could do it myself. I got it. I don't really need that. And another one was that I also had some really like not so productive experiences. Like I had experiences with therapy. I had experiences with like cognitive behavioral therapy, um, and things like that. And to me, they didn't really help me out to open up. I was just saying something, another person would just tell something back to me, which I already know, and it doesn't really help me to get any further. So that's why I didn't really bother with that. And in other ways, like more holistic approaches, even more spiritual healing and things like that, they're beneficial. Um, but I think this work, I think for me, where I was, my mindset was that I needed to go back to the body, and I think that's where I was lacking in my process. And because I was not so much in my body, I was being a little more distracted in my mind, and that's why it dragged out my own healing process for a period of time. So I was putting the work, but I was not getting the result that I want. And I think I wanted to put a focused, dedicated time to get to the root of some of these things that are troubling me. Some was from childhood, which is surprisingly, because I thought I addressed so many of these things. I thought it was good, but clearly still were like, things that to be looked at. And this was a different way, a refreshing way to going back and really uh, taking like all the work that I've done in so many years, that I was able to navigate this space and take advantage of this opportunity till I could just really uh, grow a lot more that I could do just by myself, which was very important.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting thanks for sharing that, Yasha. Like, especially for people who have had like a good childhood, right, where there was nothing
Yeah,
too dramatic. It's like, well, yeah, like I'm good, like it's fine.
yeah,
But we go real deep on the emotional level, there's many things which come up. So just having this
yeah,
conversation with you now on our first call, like just over 3 months ago now, I can like see such a difference in just the way you're present, calm, reflective, things just flow, right? It's
yeah.
amazing. Congrats to you for putting in the work. And so, when you joined the program, what were some of your favorite things about the program? Like, what did you like and what did you resonate with?
Uh, for me, one of the most interesting things for me, which I was not even expecting it, it was actually I like the assignments, those tasks, those like things that you give me to check in. Some of those, uh, some of it was like longer, some was shorter, but I think that was very interesting. To sometimes I felt like I might have understood something really well, but when I put it on the paper and I reflect on it, I was like, oh, wait a second. I think one of the challenging one for swimming, but actually I was just keep not doing it. I was doing it like half-assed for like a couple of weeks, and was I think that it was at my knees and wants and like for the three things for relationships,
Mm.
and I was like, um, and that really got me thinking because my mind was like, I think I understood that. I know this, but then when I was writing it, I was struggling. I was like, I can't really find it. I think that process of just like doing that with someone and just helping me to figure it out, and then the resistance that I had also at times to write it down, even though I know it, I was just like, but is it like, oh. And so that was like very important to me. That was something that I wasn't expecting to run into, something like that, but it was just really rewarding for me. And I think the breath works and those somatic works that we've done was also interesting. It was I had like, yes, I've worked with inner child and stuff like that, but I never approached it this way. And I think that that was like one of those major things for me, because when I went back to that state, I could understand those needs better, and that allowed me to get great sense of clarity in terms of tuning in everything with what is actually my values are, and not really like letting go, because that would be like abandoning myself. And that was, I think it was another one that really got for me. That those practices, exercise, and very just helped me to bring it back in together. And our conversations were really nice. Most of the time, uh, we talked for like an hour and a half or something like that, and we were going back and forth on WhatsApp and talking. And it was good. It was really good because I have like this thing that I do. I go on walks and I record my own voice. Like it's my process. Like I'll go whatever is in my mind, I just pour it out. It's not writing or journaling. I prefer that. But just going on walks and just be on the phone with you or talking with somebody else, including someone else in that process, was also very rewarding for me. So I think
Mm.
these are things that just came from me. It was very very useful. And yeah, these are like right now what comes to my mind about great moments. But yeah,
Yeah, the assignments are great. It's interesting because sometimes people think of it as homework. Oh, I've got to do this homework now, but it's just an integration, right? It's like anything. If you go to the gym and you don't go to the gym, but you watch the videos on YouTube, then you're not really going to the gym. It's putting it into practice, right? So
yeah,
yeah, man, it's interesting that you like them. Everyone seems to like the assignments most out of the whole process. So it's super interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it was very good, and you just gave me a bunch of them, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like and also like for my own work, when I work with some, I took some inspiration from this stuff. I was like, this is really actually this way of putting it is very useful. I should just
Mm,
approach it like that, and so it was also rewarding for me to take some of the things I learned from my own process and the process we had, and bring it to my own work, and I think that's really useful. I don't usually work. I don't do like one on one. I usually work with people through the retreats. But I think implementing some of these stuff during that process is definitely useful for people.
mm,
And I'm happy to include them. I think some of them are very, very, very helpful to create more clarity and understand like what we're doing, what we're talking about. And
mm.
so I think that's also definitely a plus.
Amazing. I know you mentioned, and I know you touched on the support as well of chatting back and forth on the phone. How important did you find that for this program of the integration and having someone to be by your side as you
Hmm.
dig into the deepest parts of yourself and integrate?
So when we started, like early on, I was like, Sure, because I wasn't really like I wasn't really getting to the moment. I was like, all right, sure, I send messages and stay in touch. And in the beginning, it was a bit harder for me to get to used to it because, as I said, I'm more like a solo do it yourself type of a dude. I just like I don't like okay, fine. But as I started like doing it and like sometimes I would send you like 20-minute, 30-minute messages, and you were not holding back. You're also sending like me 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's like all right, cool. So that was good. I enjoyed that. So because if it's too short and things like that, then I cannot fully say it. So I decided to just like okay, just gonna go on and I think when I had the chance to just talk for as long as I want, to say whatever I want to say. Um, I think and then I started like enjoying it, appreciating it, and I got into momentum and just like all right, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. And I think that was the part, man. For me, interesting.
Yeah, it's like anything in life, right? When you get the momentum going and you get this back and forth, and yeah, that's where things start rolling deeper. Okay, so then after you joined the program and you've now had this transformation, so can you just share a little bit about where you are now compared to before in terms
Hmm.
of issues, your wounds, your emotions, your trauma, just your day-to-day life? How where are you now compared to before?
Yeah, I think one thing for me was they say you can meet other people to the depth that you have met yourself. So for me also to go deeper and like meeting myself on a deeper level, um, if from a different way to get there, it was very useful to me. So I feel like one of the things that happened for me was I became aware of certain needs that I had that I was not really paying attention to. And part of it was because, well, I was working a lot. So, and like I moved to a new country, I'm building a whole new brand business. And as I'm helping people and I'm doing all these things, and there's not enough time for me. Right. And that part was like, it's because getting delayed, this process getting delayed, 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 delayed. So, just spending the time and investing in myself, I think that was something that uh, I rediscovered, you know and it's been a long time since I ever like done anything just for me like that. So I think that was very beneficial in my own process in terms of where I am after the work that we've done. Um, i feel there are things that I'm definitely aware of which I'm still working on it, and but I'm happy with the result because I don't feel I'm held back by them. I don't feel like they're pulling me back, especially the inner child uh, things that I went through. I don't feel like these things are holding me back. I feel like there's a more coexisting relationship with them because I'm aware of them and I give it attention and make it space for it. And that process itself, it reduces the amount of like loads and stress and all of that stuff. I mean, let's look at it. Before even I start this process with you, I was like working nonstop, hours, 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 hours. I was exhausted, but and I was not even getting so much out of my own work. I was not even getting so much out of my relationship. I mean, the energy that I'm putting, I'm not getting anything as much as I'm putting, and it's because I was not tuned in, aligned. You know, so that when that alignment become, and now I only work till like 6:30, uh, 5 times a week, and I managed to accomplish so much more than I was doing with like God knows how many hours I used to do, and just like I work till 6:30, things are just happening. I'm good. I'm relaxed. And because that anxiety, like, let me just go a little deeper with this because I remember because I was doing the retreats here in Amazon in Putumayo. And I told you I'm planning to do like 9 retreats. And you were like, Jesus, Yash, that's a lot of number. I was like, no, no, I can do it. I could do it. And honestly, it was a lot. And when through that process, I just stopped for a second. I was like, why is it that I want to do 9 retreats? Right? Why do I want to do that many? And do I actually need that many? No. Why do I want to do it? Is because that wound that if I do like this much, because as I said before, I came to the space and support and help people. I was a stock trader. I was trading stocks for a long time, so my mindset hasn't shifted, and I was also because uh, I lost a lot of money and I had to leave, and some of those wounds weren't really addressed, right? So I carried that like I gotta prove something to myself, and that end up with comes in a sabotage what I want to do by putting so much load on myself that I bring the quality down. And I was very fortunate also because I caught up this with you. We caught up this very early on, so now it's everything is better. The experience of people at the retreats are better, my life is better, everybody's winning, all great, right? And so it's not like I feel like I need to do that much. That was like, so I reduced the number to five, right? I could have even do probably before and happy. Okay, but I said five. Let's do a little challenge. Why not? Okay, so it's good. We're all like booked out. Everything's going great. Fantastic. So like I could see like visible like result, not on the things that I came for, because I came more about like I gotta boundaries and communication. Maybe I need to work on that, and I feel like I don't have not take care of my needs. My was my mindset, but discovering that it was just like it's sabotaging all over my life. I'm not paying attention, especially the things that I care about so much. I'm putting so much time and energy. My relationship also like dramatically is like shifted. Like we're tuned in, everything's beautiful, fantastic, and our communication was always good with my partner. But we got to a place where we both needed to take a look at ourselves, you know. And she did her work and she grew. I did my work and I grew, and then boom, everything just 10 times better. So the list is really long. Actually, I could just go for hours, but these are like things that just right
So,
just
but
come to my
actually,
mind.
it's interesting what you mentioned there, Yasha, of, you came with one or two issues, right?
Yeah,
And many other things came out of that because, it's all about the relationship we have with ourselves, right? When these parts of us don't feel loved or unintegrated, or there's wounds and trauma and there's a disconnection from self, we're not living in our wholeness, that shows up in everything else that we do in life, all
yeah,
right? When you come back to your heart, to your truth, and you're living aligned and all these wounds are now integrated, and you can then operate from that place of wholeness without the insecurities, everything. And that's obviously
yeah,
why everything else is a mirror of that. It's how you do one
yeah.
thing is how you do everything else.
Definitely. And funny thing, it was just I received a message from my partner, someone who caused a lot of drama in our household for a little bit, unimportant. And that person just yesterday apparently sounded sincere, wanted to apologize, and I didn't respond to anything, but it was very interesting because one of the triggers that we actually ended up in this process for me was because there was external influences that was like um, interfering, and I can't really keep up with everything, you know. So that's like some message that came from me yesterday, which was interesting. And that shows that like, I just take care of me and just let go of whatever external is and the difference that it makes.
Hmm. Okay, so then finally, how's like your in general anxiety now in your present moment in life? I know you came with a lot of anxiety and feeling anxious. How is that
Oh
now?
yeah, I've developed this practice that I do every day, and it's just like I sit down 5 minutes, or less even, few minutes, moments in the morning, and just get myself in that zone with that like inner child and checking in. And every time I feel like stress goes up or anxiety goes up, I just pause. I just pause. I get up. I just like, okay, let's feel it out, where it is in the body, feeling it, and just ask a few questions and offering myself more compassion and love. And I don't really need to say words to myself like, oh, and with just breathing and just being with it and paying attention to the source of it, and then it just I feel like I see myself. I don't abandon my needs, and then for whatever I'm creating in the world, and then I just go back to it. The amount of anxiety is reduced significantly. I would say
Mhm.
70% 80% reduced. um, and the rest of it is about how you handle it, how you sit with it, and I don't have a problem. So,
Incredible, man. So if we just
yeah.
like go over this everything again. So you said like your business is flourishing, your retreats are all sold out,
Yeah.
Relationship is better than it's ever been. Relationship with yourself is better than it's ever been. Anxiety is dropped by over 70% and everything's very manageable now.
Yeah.
Working schedule and time of life balance is on point. What else?
Yeah.
Like, did I miss anything? I mean, I know we've gone over quite a bit here, but
Uh, yeah, it's also like it helps me to like also to be more effective in my retreats. Usually, like I like my retreats when we do like with work medicine, we have like psychologists and integration people, and they take care of this stuff. I mostly facilitate and organize, but during this retreat, I also help support people. I think this process also made me to be better at that,
to be a
to
better therapist,
grow.
you mean?
Yeah, yes, yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
great. Yeah, it's just powerful transformation. Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to the work that I do, quite a few people, a lot of people actually, don't want to join the program or they're hesitant because they think I personally haven't lived what they have lived in their life.
Mhm.
What would you say to that?
I think that uh, well, I know about your story, you being an ex-chef and committing to this path and burning your thing down and fully committing to this path and helping people. So I know you a bit personally. This is hard for me to say why people say you don't get it. So, but from my point of view is that when I could from my work I could say a lot of people come and they might have like also different experiences that I have not lived through. But I think every person has a capacity to feel suffering and pain and struggle and live through something themselves. It doesn't have to be exactly the same thing, but I think that as long as I mean through session, all my experience was that you're open, receiving, and you're listening, and you tend to it, and you're eager to uh, support the person in whatever they need. So I didn't necessarily feel like you don't get it, but I feel like uh, it would be it would be it wouldn't be accurate because if somebody really maybe people need you to like match their suffering, the style of their suffering. I guess they're more open to it. They feel more seen. But I think when there is a person who's been through themselves and experienced, and they've done the work on themselves, and they can see that other people uh, work with them and experience with them, so they, regardless of what it is, you could do. Because I know, because you were mostly working with men, but now you're also working with women as well. I guess something that's a very interesting shift. So for me, my experience, I felt connected, seen, and we did great work. And I received all benefit that I could possibly get from 3 months, which is not a long period of time. It's plenty, but it's still not long. And that much work and that many things getting done itself is uh,
Hmm.
it wouldn't come if the person I'm working with couldn't connect.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's 3 months, like, but you think it's like 90 days, all right? But when you put in the work and you're committed and you're invested, that's where the transformation happens, right?
Yeah.
So, so for the person watching this video, maybe there's someone who is, kind of aware of their wound. Maybe they've only tried talking traditional therapy, maybe listening to
Mhm.
podcasts, meditating, but
Yeah.
they have never really had a one-to-one high-level coach. You can probably relate to this from your past, Yasha. What would you want to say to that person and really try to enter their
Yeah.
mind?
Uh,
Like you
okay.
want to, right?
Yeah. I would tell you this. First, like I have huge amount of experience like in doing it myself for years, and I think that there is and also like I didn't take the advice also that I give to a lot of people like in my work. In my
I
work
don't
I
think
always
many
say,
people can do that.
yeah, like in my work I always emphasize on support and community like as something really important, you know human touch, human connection. I give that to people, but I didn't give it to myself, right? So, and that was why I was also not going because once we start like intellectualizing things, like what is the trauma, what is the pain, what is this, how you heal it, these are all just mind, you know. And when you have somebody that you can share these things, because a lot of these stuff also is rooted in shame, and shame kind of dies in the light, right? So when you bring it out and share it with someone, and someone's willing to receive without judgment and just listen, that just magically takes huge amount of uh, like a load and stress and pressure from the process itself. It's a very simple process to bringing it out to the thing. And then another person, I think another thing that is very important is that although like you and I, you were very supportive through the experience, but there was also a moment that you challenged my views, right? And challenged what I would think about something. I think that when that someone is there that also receives you and also challenges you, that's where you get a lot of blockages, or and also it's a sense of being accountable. Although it's not a pressure for me to show up on the calls and do my thing, but when you are, there's somebody else is there also waiting for you. You know, it's helping you to stay focused. So staying focused, seeing and challenged, that's not something you can just do it by yourself. You know, and it's just not something that is possible to do just by yourself. In my experience, the reason I personally didn't really so like did this type of work with someone else for so many years, uh, was because I had some experiences like with psychologists and therapists. It wasn't rewarding, uh, and part of it also was because I wasn't at that stage of my life, way before medicine, before all of this stuff. I wasn't really also open to it, you know. So it's so much that so anyone can do for anyone, as long as there also willingness and openness is there, because that's what it is. And I was not very open and willing either. I think so. Part of it is the openness and willingness of person to realize that, okay, I'm serious that I want to work on this, and another part of it receiving that help, so they're seen, supported, challenged, and held accountable. And I think that would be the things that is very hard to, if possible, I don't know if possible, but it's very hard to replicate just by doing it yourself. And also another thing for me was like I had some not so positive experiences with people who were into like wellness and coaching and healing spaces. That what led me to create what I created in my retreat, because I felt like these people don't do their job really well. They don't really
Mm.
care, and so that's why I was like, I don't want to work with this type of thing. So I kind of blocked it out, and I did it myself. But then it got to a point where I went as far as I can go by myself, and so I would say like I have quite a bit of experience in that, and I have drank over more even than 200 times ayahuasca. So even if I done that much deep work with medicine, but I didn't do this work one on one with someone that it could actually help me to kind of take that extra thing that I need to continue. Um, that's why we have integration at the retreat, because it's important. If that part is not there, then it's not going to stick. So you can do thousands of medicine, thousands of anything else. There's so many different things, but this part that you do it with another person, it is essential, and
Mm.
that's where the you get the most result out of it. Like I could have, it wasn't like any of the things that we discussed together. I did not realize it before. I did not have this insight, or I have not read it somewhere else. It wasn't. It's not about information, or for some people it could be, right? For some people it could be because they don't know about this stuff, and that could be the part missing part, the information. But in the end, it's not about knowledge. It's about that connection. you know when that connection
Mm.
happened, then when the knowledge and informations are being used, felt, understood, and experienced. And even if someone is a coach, or because I know even you also have people that you work with, you go and see, right? So
Sure.
it really is like you could be greatest mentor of all time, you still not help, you need help. Even with people that I know in Amazon healers, Reiki healers, tantric healers, in Nepal, India, even in the Amazon jungle with great maestro shamans, they have other healers that they come and help them, because they need that. They need that support. And I think it's also the humility of just asking for help, that you can't do it by yourself all the time. You need help from
Mm.
someone else. I think that also fits in. So when we look at some people who in a space that we look as like great healers or mentors, I can assure you all of them have people that they regularly talk to, or they have at times they go and spend some time with them, and that connection is very important, and that's what really makes the switch that the investment people do. Um, like for example, ayahuasca, we do a lot of work and we do 1 month of integration, and right now Anya takes care of the most of the integration. But that connection part is where people like, I can now bring what I saw into my life, and that's where that is. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So I've got a final question for you, just to wrap up this interview here.
yeah,
So, again, if I'm talking to somebody here who's watching this video and they've been watching my content, they're in the process of like realizing they need to do the work, they need support, they need guidance, they want to have this change, but there's a part of them which is just scared of making a financial investment of committing to it.
mm.
It feels uncomfortable. What would you say to that person watching this video right now if they're uncomfortable of investing in themselves?
Yeah. So first, I understand because I'm also, well, we do different work, but I do different type of work, and people have to invest. And when I wanted to invest in you, uh, well, it was certain amount, and I had some money for it, but I was like, I could also do something else with it and things like that. But what it really, I would say, is that if I invested, like, I've already made $30,000 just because of this. So I already made all the money back.
Hmm.
Not quite a bit of it, just all the way back more. And so that's what you get. When people invest in, and I get it. Like, there are a lot of people. I invested money in other people, and I told you that's why I was very like hesitant, and I get it, because everybody claims stuff. They just give you advice, like as if like I need their advice. I don't need advice. I want to work on something, right? I don't need advice. I can right now. You can use Chat GPT and it gives you better advice than most people, right?
Oh, for sure. I tell that to people. I tell that to people in sales schools. Like, if you want information and advice, go to ChatGPT and YouTube. They will tell it to you better. And
Yeah, we live in so much information. You can go on YouTube, just watch the whole videos, and by the time you feel like you're an expert in trauma and healing. But the process of trauma and healing, that human connection thing, that's where it comes. And I think if anyone wants to check you out, what they got to do is just have a talk with you, and just so to feel your energy, how it is. And and also the most important is like what I personally like about your style is just like you have that real why, planet Earth, so and in my special work, I'm on the same type of why, and I feel like there's not so much of it, and especially in the spaces that I work, which has a spiritual tone to it. And some people just want to constantly go to the another space and forget the problems, but they gotta address them. And I think that's where people should really focus on, and that's where the value is. And for me, it was an investment, definitely worth it. Uh, Initially, when I thought I wanted to do it, I was like, but I was like, you know what? I knew you, I trusted you, I knew we could do the work, and we'll do it. And also, it was like, for me, I think, because you're a man, I'm a man, I just felt like it would be better to work with a man. There were some other options that were women. I just felt like I need somebody who uh, understands man's problem. And for me, that was the thing, right? And I someone I trust and I knew. So all right, cool,
mm,
let's do it. And I received multiplication money back,
yeah, if
including
I
this.
recall correctly, you told me like, Blake, I want to do this. I'm all in. Before even knowing the price, it's like, when do we start? Before I even told
Yeah,
you the investment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was like, oh,
yeah.
but how?
And
By the way, oh, did I not tell you already?
no, let's do it. I think this is good. I should do it. And then we did. We got started at it, and it was rewarding for me. It was a very beautiful experience just to see that you know it's okay if I cannot do it by myself. Everything is fine.
Yeah, yeah, we're always going to be the students in life, right?
Yeah.
Right, Yasha, any final words to somebody who's watching this, who's on the fence, and they're like, I want to do it? Like, three words of wisdom to them?
My experience is that I could talk about my experience. I think that um, if you're looking, if you've been doing, if you're a person, that you've been doing do-it-yourself self-help book, podcast. Here and there, you do a pocket of maybe therapy here and there, or a person who's been doing a certain particular type of a sort of traditional type of therapy, psychotherapy and things like that. They're not really going anywhere with it. It's maybe it's time for to change your approach, you know, and change your approach and commit to a more one-on-one, personal, intimate relationship where you feel more seen, heard, complete. And you know what I love about it is it's not like you can always like text Blake and just keep talking all you want. It's not like, oh, this is my hour from this time. Of course, he has to rest and he has his life. I'm not gonna 24/7, but you know, just having the ability and that personal care and attention. That's where that's where the difference is. And I think that's where people get the most benefit from it. And that's what I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Yasha. Thank you
All right.
for sharing about all this. I appreciate you. It's been an honor to see your transformation and your growth. And I
Yeah.
look forward to continue to see you evolve. And yeah, man, we're going to spend more time together as friends as well in the future. So
Yeah.
thanks again for coming on. Thanks again for trusting in me and in yourself for doing this work. And I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No
It's been a
problem.
pleasure.